Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to 16 Minutes, a weekly show here at CNT where we will cover a range of topics, including lifestyle, politics, pop culture, business, health, and science. I am your host, Nigel Worcestershire, and tonight, a special exclusive with 16 Minutes, an invite to the Governor's Mansion, and a chat about the fantastic legacy of the outgoing administration. And what is the next chapter for James Paxton? This is 16 Minutes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are here at the Governor's Mansion with Governor James Paxton himself. How are you doing this evening, Governor?
Well, you know what? I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Absolutely, mate. I know you're probably rather quite busy, all right, with the end of, election season upon us and have to get ready to move out of this rather fantastic mansion here. But we do appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us on 16 Minutes tonight, all right?
Of course, I'm very happy to.
So, before we start this evening, I guess first, why don't you take us through with the people at home the journey of James Paxton? What got you into the governorship, mate? What led your journey to where you are today? Tell us a little bit of some of your backstory. Let's unpack that for the people at home.
Oh my! Well, what a journey it has been. You know what? I've been a lawyer at heart. That's been my career path. Started in private law, and actually, funny enough, after this, I'm going back to private law, so it's come full circle. But I started in private law, then I went into prosecution, and did some time in a district attorney's office before eventually in Los Santos here becoming a real estate agent. We founded Paxton Divine Realty, which is now the main realty company in the city, which has been renamed. Obviously, Mr. Jin Young Jae runs it, and boy, does he do a fantastic job. But anyways, I did realty for a while, and well, that was kind of interesting. I never thought for a moment that I would be in the heart of Jamestown selling some up and coming property. But you know what? It ended up working out. I met a lot of contacts that way, even though I was not as successful as I'd like to have been as a real estate agent. But I really enjoyed it. Got to meet a lot of new people. I enjoyed you know, trying to get people into a starter house, families moving into, and I think they didn't buy my spiel about Jamestown being an up and coming neighborhood. But I have hopes for that area of town. I hope that one day things are a little better. Of course, the helicopters flying above didn't really help much, but
Right.
yeah, from there I ran as a state representative, and I won in my first election there. And so I sat as the speaker of the legislature for my term, which was excellent. We got a lot done. One of my crowning achievements there as a state representative was the Constitution. We spent a lot of time drafting and working on that Constitution, and by the end of that term, myself and 12 others in the form of a committee approved a draft of the Constitution. We passed in the legislature, and the governor signed it, and that was at the very end of the term. So that was sort of when I was running for governor. I ran on that Constitution. I passed all sorts of other laws. It was really a pleasure for me to be able to go in and be a driving force with Endeavor Jackson, of course, and then we were joined by some other state representatives after the unfortunate death of Evan Lee. I think I passed something like, or wrote, sorry, I think I wrote 34 or something around there of the laws, maybe high 20s, hard to remember now. And of the laws that got passed, which was awesome. And I worked with Endeavor a lot. He was super helpful. And then I ran for governor, and it was a tough race. It was a lot. It's a lot of fun. Really interesting. I was happy to meet a lot more people than I might not otherwise have. I got to boot around in a campaign bus that had my face on the side of it. So, if you're egotistical, it's great to run for governor because they basically plaster your face onto a whole bunch of different things. Um,
Absolutely.
and I ended up winning. So that's how I got here.
What would you say you attribute most of your campaign success to? I know it can be quite hard to be on the campaign trail and getting in front of the proper constituents and getting a message across. So, why do you feel like you had such great success?
Well, you know what? I just want to, I'm very thankful to the people of the state for supporting me, and why they found reason to support me. It's hard to say. Some people support me for one reason, some people support me for another. I'm not always going to agree with people, and they're not always going to agree with me. And I just kind of hope that when everything washes out, the net positive, uh, that they agree with that. That they think that I did more harm or more good than harm. Um, in terms of the campaign, Justine Stiletto ran an excellent campaign as well. The vote was very close in the end. And so, kudos to her for running. We fundamentally disagreed on some of the key aspects of running the government. I was very focused on supplying the departments with what they needed to succeed. And I think that the other campaign was more on the approach of knocking everything down and rebuilding it back up again. But I think we've been successful in terms of what we've been able to do with the government departments in the past 4 months, and certainly attributed to that sort of style of what do you need, where are shortcomings, how do we get there? And I think it was that and the leadership ability that I demonstrated through my time in the legislature that people supported. But at the end of the day, it's very hard to know.
Absolutely. There's a plethora of different variables about, and with every different campaign season, too, is a different animal. So, do you plan on remaining in the political scene now that you're on your way out of the governor's seat?
Well, before I leave office, I have recommended that the legislature create a role called a parliamentarian. And before my fellow Americans get upset
Oh,
about
yeah.
that word, that is a position. I just think that I've been in the legislature for a long time now. I've been in government for a long time now, and if I could be of any help to a representative, a new representative coming in, maybe going, I have this great idea, and this is what I want to do, and for me to sit there and go, well, this is how we can write it out in the law. This is how you do the legalese portion of it. This is how it should be worded in a piece of legislature. I think that's a handy position to have. So whether or not the representatives end up making that position, I don't know. I'm hoping that they will, but I think that it'll be handy. Beyond that, I'm going into private law, and well, politics and law do sometimes mix. We often end up with the government on one side of a court case and some private attorneys on the other, and we'll see what happens there. But I'm really looking forward to getting back into the litigation scene. I've certainly missed it quite a bit.
Absolutely. That sounds fantastic. And you told us about a little bit of crowning jewel while you were state representative. Why don't you take us through your crowning jewel of the governorship? What's one of your favorite pieces of legislation that you've accomplished while you were in the seat?
Well, you know what? We've done a lot. I've done a lot as a governor, and I've been very supported by the people that work in my office with me. Carmen Strike, who was my chief of staff initially after I won the election, later became my lieutenant governor, has been incredibly helpful with sort of getting my agenda passed. I ran on strong leadership within the state and to find out where our shortcomings were with certain departments and how we can do better for them so that they can do better for the state. And I think we accomplished that. The Department of Commerce and Labor has come a long way, and that success is not attributed to me or my office, but attributed to the fact that we sat down and figured out what resources they needed, and they made the changes to improve. So the success goes to them, but I'm glad that I was able to support that in any way that I could. Beyond that, I ran on making Pride Day a state holiday, and I was able to do that via executive order. I have legislated new parks and I created a pardon commission, and a pardon commission made of an attorney from the Department of Justice, an attorney from the Public Defender's Office, and a private unaffiliated attorney. That way, it's a very fair commission, and one that can review applications for clemency from members of the public. And I think we've probably issued about 10 pardons at this point. because, you know, if you may have made a mistake in your past, that doesn't define who you're going to be for the future. In fact, two of the people that I issued pardons for, Hudson Welsh and Grace Stone, were both elected
Have now
in this
gone on to
recent
become
election.
state representatives.
Absolutely.
Right,
So
right. That's rather fantastic. So you'd say you found great success in the pardon program.
you know what? I'm very happy with how it turned out, and I attribute a lot of that to the attorneys that participated in it as well. You know, DeAndre Evans, Cyrus Hunt, and Lionel Strauss. They've been fantastic to work with, and they are doing a lot of the legwork in terms of interviewing applicants for pardons and making recommendations to me. I was happy that I was able to sort of facilitate that, but they're a lot of the driving force behind it. And in terms of just my overall governorship, I was able to, I think, you know, ensure that one, we stay within what we're able to do in the Constitution in terms of our executive orders and appointments, and two, to keep the wheels rolling when it comes to the executive departments. I mean, we issued, I think, 11 or 12 nomination papers for various executive department heads and for two chief justices now, Elizabeth Williams and then John McLemore. So it's been a very productive stint as governor. And I've also got to work with the legislature on laws. So it's been very rewarding for me, and I hope that I've been able to make a positive impact in other people.
Absolutely. I, for one, can definitely say you have, Governor. You've made quite the accomplishments. All right. While
I
you're
appreciate
at the helm
that,
here.
Nigel.
Absolutely.
I was working behind the counter, and some asshole handed me some counterfeit bills. I called the police, and they arrested me. I sent for a public defender.
I was just in a friendly competition, and I hit a Go Postal truck.
You're under arrest.
I should ask for a public.
A great man once said that just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. We believe that until proven guilty, any man, woman, and child in this great country is innocent. Don't just surrender, ask for a public defender.
So with that being said, what do you think of the new administration coming in? Give us some of your personal opinions, Governor-elect Vlad Todd and Lieutenant Governor-elect Carmen McKenzie.
Well, I think that my appointment of Carmen McKenzie to the position of Lieutenant Governor is enough to say that I support her. She's been an incredible part of this administration to keep us on track and to help keep the agenda moving. As my Chief of Staff and then Lieutenant Governor, she was always very supportive, and I imagine that she's going to bring that leadership and that organizational skill to the Todd administration. And in terms of the incoming administration, to be very honest with you, no matter who won on Monday evening, we would have been in good hands. Cole Gordon, Andre Johnson, or Vlad Todd, all of the candidates this election were fantastic. It was a hard choice. I did support the Vlad Todd campaign. I believe in what Vlad has to offer, and I believe that Carmen's leadership as Lieutenant Governor will also help the state. So I'm very strongly in favor of their administration. I think that they're going to do fantastic. My only advice would be to, know your position in the government, but make sure that you're able to lend an ear to the people who need it. Even if you don't disagree, it's good to hear people out, even if they have a different opinion than you. So that's what I would impart to them. Have strong leadership and do what you think is right. And don't be afraid to, say that you messed up and do better if you did. But I'm very confident that the new administration coming in is going to do fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, I hope Governor-elect Todd is watching at home because he's getting some free advice here from outgoing Governor James Paxton. Absolutely fantastic. That was great of you, mate. So if I can get down into the nitty gritty of some bills that we've seen here, if I can get your opinion, members
Sure.
of current Congress have mentioned tensions between reps in the governor's office in regards to the Speedy Trial Act and the Ice Cream for Americans Act. Why has there been so much controversy, would you say, regarding these bills and the inability to get them pushed through?
Well, we were able to get the Speedy Trial Act through, although it was not necessarily the version that I would have wanted to see go through. It was the version that I thought was appropriate to pass, given the uncertainty around what the slate of government would look like after the election. The Speedy Trial Act had holes in it. And so, as you may know, there was an article that went out from Weasel, and a lot of lawyers had petitioned me to sign it. But my concern came from from a request from the Department of Justice for some language changes, which I agreed with, and two, from my personal opposition to what I would describe as very relaxed, very relaxed requirements for bail. The original draft of the bill in many parts was great, and I agreed with most of the bill. But, when it came to bail, it, said that only treason or first degree murder or terrorism would be considered a violation of the bail terms. Now, I don't know about you, Nigel, but I would sleep better at night knowing that people can't go out and kidnap our loved ones and torture them and
Absolutely, mate.
get back put in the cell and get their bail again because it was automatic and they had to be granted it, and rinse and repeat until they end up back in prison or until a judge can step in, and well, they're not always available. So I was very strongly opposed to that. I had threatened a veto. But luckily I was able to work with the state representatives. Now, the language that I recommended was to do it via sections, to do violent crimes, federal crimes, as such, so that you would cover everything in those sections without missing anything. And that would also leave it open to new charges being added to violent crimes, for example, being included in that bail condition. But they opted to do it crime by crime. And now, as you know or may know, there are some loopholes in terms of terrorism and treason, and I hope that the next year will address that.
Absolutely. I hope so as well, mate. So, what is something that you wish you could have accomplished as governor and weren't able to quite get done? Maybe didn't have the time, possibly couldn't get it through with the state representatives.
You know what? It's very hard to say. I think that we've been pretty successful in terms of what we've been able to accomplish. Really, everything that I came into office wanting to do, I was able to do within my term pretty reasonably. So I don't spend a lot of time thinking about, at this point, what I wanted to do, because if there was something that 2 weeks ago that I thought I wanted to do, I would have got it done.
Absolutely. Very proactive view there, right?
Sorry if that's not really a great answer to your question, but I'm just, everything that I came into office looking to do, I was able to accomplish. So,
well, that's absolutely fantastic. That's the sign of a great administration right there, I would say, personally.
And a supportive legislature and supportive administration, yeah.
Absolutely. Fantastic work in tandem done by all, I'd say, over the last two Congresses that we've witnessed.
I would really agree with that.
Absolutely. Well, before we let you go here, Governor, tell the people at home, do you have a name for the new law firm, right, in the next chapter of James Paxton?
Well, I do, and there is a Paxton in it. In fact, there's two, so you'll never forget it. Paxton and Associates, which is one that my husband, Drake Paxton, he started when I was still in the governor's office. Well, I still am, but maybe after he left the Chief Justiceship, he went and started a private law firm. And it was originally Paxton Strike, and now it's Paxton and Associates. And I'm really looking forward to getting into litigation and to fighting for those folks back behind the benches of a courtroom, because I really did miss it.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. Well, there you have it. You had it here first, all right? Keep your eyes peeled for the law firm and for the next chapter of Governor James Paxton here. Mate, again, I hope I speak for myself and all of San Andreans when I say thank you very much for your service, all right? Fantastic job.
Thank you very much, Nigel, and thank you so much for having me on your program and for being here tonight.
Mate, from all of us at CNT, we appreciate you taking the time here on 16 Minutes, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Paxton. Thank you for tuning in tonight, ladies and gentlemen. With all of the accomplishments of the Paxton administration, he has left quite the shoes to fill. He assured us all tonight we're in good hands and the Todd administration is up to the task. Keep your eyes out for Paxton and Paxton Associates for all of your legal needs here in the near future. As always, ladies and gentlemen, have a great night and be safe, San Andreas. For CNT, I have been your host, Nigel Worcestershire, and this has been 16 Minutes.